My name is Shira Tengle. I work for Analog Devices as head of AI enablement, focused on AI development and also solving some of our business problems towards our Vision 2030. Today, I'm excited to present the evolution of the next era of the physical AI and how the security battle bill is going to be part of that transition. Getting started with, these are some of the key points I will be covering today in context of our core topic with physical AI, starting from how we have evolved from predictive AI to physical AI and basic definition of that, the challenge and opportunities bringing to us, some of the trends that we're seeing from the impact perspective. We look at a little bit from the security threat landscape perspective and some of the case study, which is minor there. And then we look at what needs to happen and the forward thinking inside view from this year until next 2030 and the role of the security leaders out there. So if you look at the emergence of the predictive AI to physical AI, as it can relates to the fundamentals evolution of the computer systems, right? How it started from 1940 till today. And there's a whole piece of the evolution phases. It has to go from generation to generation, all the way from the vacuum tubes to transistor system to integrated circuit to microprocessor based systems, and up until now what we are calling the AI era. So it took years to come to the predictive AI phase, what we used to call as a machine learning models. It's a primarily data-driven decision-making models that are being built and deployed to solve some of the business problems. Then right after the 2022, the ChatGPT came and everything becomes the LLM based, which is large language models. We're calling this as generative AI. The evolution of the AI development has been fast paced, as you can recall. The emergence of multiple version of the LLM coming from different segmented industry to building the user interface application layer on top of that, from computing to infrastructure and app layer, then moving faster to this reasoning AI models, which chain of thought, then taking into pretty much last year and this year we've been talking about agentic AI, which is AI agents are capable of doing the plan and taking actions on behalf of human. The classic example of the human machine collaboration era, what we are starting right now, and then we're taking this approach to move into the physical AI, the basically how AI is coming on top of the existing physical system. That's where I think the topic today we are going to spend some time here. Basic definition of physical AI, it's primarily how AI is getting fused into all the physical systems that we have been seeing across robotic systems to drones, IoT devices, the connected devices, and autonomous vehicles. As we started seeing all the autonomous vehicles coming to the major cities of the road, and then across different kind of the connected device within the industrial automation, within the manufacturing data centers. That's where I think the physical AI is going to sit and evolve around those ecosystems. The challenge, what it's bringing, and the opportunity at the same time, the fundamental question why we ask is, why should we care about it? What's so hot? I think the AI is becoming so advanced that it can monitor more assets than any humans today. The outcome and the insights, intelligence it started bringing to the human is much faster. How this is coming super intelligent system to us, and yet it's also coming as a compounding effect for certain kind of challenges where anything can happen, right? So if you do design system and deploy, there is a potential that the unique ways to compromise those system as well. And then some of the trends, if you look at where is the most impact we're seeing from physical AI perspective, is starting with the security robots, robotic systems that are being utilized across major public places, doing patrolling to malls, and then some of the the educational institution arena. That's where I think the one example we've seen the Nightscope has been deployed in the past, and these are some algorithmic and the AI-enabled solutions. It's empowering those systems to collaborate with human workflow to protect our entities and infrastructure and building and public accesses out there. And then second trends we're also seeing around multimodal threat detections, around sensor fusions, including the thermal, optical, and LiDAR, integrated optimal view there, looking at from identifying the blind spot and identifying those detection of the false positives, giving the more detection capability. There is another trend we are seeing, simulation-driven security. It's around how digital and physical interaction is happening more from the digital twin concept that's been floating around for a while, but this is becoming more reality, especially leveraging this kind of digital twin for optimizing or building smart manufacturing to industrial automations, to infrastructure automations and deployment, and across even data centers, right? NVIDIA Cosmos Unite is one of those used for the intrusion response trainings, and building this kind of synthetic data-driven infrastructure mapping closer to our real infrastructure, and seeing this kind of test and validations outcome aligning both the view, and using that as a way to do the quick experimentations and validation before you can put out the production system. And the next kind of the trends we are seeing is more decentralized physical AI. It's primarily the community driven kind of the sensors that get deployed with combination of blockchain logs that can be very community driven kind of the value assets or distribution there. Yet it also demands sometimes the privacy implication of the challenges there. And the next one is smart health monitoring. So health has been the primary focus for one of the physical assets. We've been talking about wearable devices for a long times. Now with that, sensors are also coming that are enabling all these AI powered workflows to help us to understand the additional insights of our human body and the wellness creativity around that, and also ability to connect this health worker to the patients using the remote monitoring systems. And then finally, the most exciting part, what we are also started seeing around humanoid robots, where humanoid robots started now getting or being ready to deploy across most factory where repetitive tasks and more human factory workers are being leveraged. We started seeing the humanoid robots collaboration with those factory workers. Eventually, we also started seeing the trends where these robots are continually autonomously working 24/7 on doing some of the mundane tasks, repetitive tasks, the tasks that could be complex in natures, right? And that's also happening across manufacturing or supply chain centers, including the data centers. Certainly, that brings our emerging threat landscape to be coming from the existential viewpoint, from the current state view to the new state view, as sensing become more threats in terms of like spoofing, adversarial attacks that could be potentially happening. There is also threats around some of the prompt and model poisoning we're talking about. That could potentially be one area where it could help to derail the decision-making process and impacting some of the outcome. Policy hijack, we can talk about control systems, kilowatts defect, and there's a whole piece of the challenges we have been seeing, the physical AI connectivity across various ecosystem of those communication channels that could be another area that could lose to the emerging threat. Human operational and human workers, then that there is a ODD group concept is coming where the human could potentially be threat to the autonomous systems. We have seen some of the examples recently on the autonomous vehicle as well. Supply chain disruptions, potentially using this backdoor firmware kind of the challenges, And I think next 12 to 24 months, we're also seeing some of the emerging attack patterns, as from the security lens perspective, which is around physical ransomware on the fleets, and then the potential misuse of the swarms, especially on the drones that's coming across the various ecosystem of the business and the people's life. There's a perception hacks. We've been talking about science and obstacle that could come, manipulation of the route and the tax that could be utilized in the warehouses and the factory workers as well, and then some of the maintenance mode pivots that could be potentially patterns we are seeing. So as a result of these emerging threats and the attack patterns happening, this could result into some of the business impact, right? We've been talking about safety, and I think that's the primary impact. We tend to see the safety from the human perspective to the workplace, and also the reliability of the services that we offer from business standpoint, right? And then there's the quality of work that could get disrupted if not managed and maintained and deployed in properly. There's a huge risk on security, compliance, and then finally the geopolitical issues. This is just an example of the case study that could have with the warehouse breaks. It's just a small $2 million loss that could potentially be one example where voice spoof that could result into patrolling those bot override that could result into open access points, right? Accessing some critical infrastructure or assets that could result into the business risk. It could be reputational risk, strategic risk, financial risk, and operational risk. Imagine this will scale out into the wider adoption and deployment of those physical AI. That's going to happen. The massive exposure of the threats and the risk is continual be there could result into 10x, 100x of this similar loss. Now, this definitely demands security. Governance is not a new term for us. We're looking at from data security to model security, then GenAI come in. We started talking about the responsible AI around ethical standards to privacy, security, and the compliance. I think this physical security is in scope of that realm where the security and governance are going to be the critical component in driving the broader adoption of the physical AI and also scaling that to the broader need. The red teaming physical AI is also one of the component where we can use this kind of finding the pixel pattern spoofing, deepfake, and audio injections that could result into some of the risk mitigation as well. Defensive opportunity, predictive patrols could be one of the mitigation or the control system we could introduce, including drone buster swarms, anomaly detections, check that could be introduced as ways to protect those assets. Lastly, the governance and mitigation framework. It's again aligning to the current evolution of the industry standards across generative AI. That's also going to be mapped to the physical AI at some point, where you can introduce the classification of risk assets on an asset level as you move from design, development, deployment of those physical AI, and introducing those risk level and hardening supply chain. Also introducing the human in the loop workflow using expert networks to the business functions, building the development standards around the physical AI, looking at fail-safe mode, which is single point of failure in terms of the business continuity to the technical risks part of that, and then conformity review and approval. These are fundamentally a level of review and approval controls that you can introduce at the time of the go-to-market or the enablement phase. I think this looking at the overarching contextual from the physical AI in the era of the next 2020, next 5 years, and what could be the role of security leaders who are potentially joining today's conference or the security leaders out there, right, that you are collaborating and thinking what's your role in terms of this emergence of different AI systems and the evolution of AI, that's taking up to the next era. I tend to see some of the trends that could potentially be uplifting into new phases from now until next 5 years. We'll tend to see more and more autonomous vehicles on the roads, major cities of the North America, potentially other part of the world. More and more where products adoption to happen in lieu to the increasing productivity gain to this awareness that's happening around health and wellness need. Also, the use of the swarm of drones, the drones, not the single drone, the multiple and hundreds of drones that will be collaborative working on managing the end-to-end life cycle of the agriculture's solutions across crops management. As we talked about, the digital twin is going to be the one of the simulation kind of the option for manufacturing center to industrial automations to infrastructure scale, where synthetic data could be one of the highly utilized data assets to manage that systems. And as we talked about, humanoid robots collaborations continually seen across major factories, including the data centers, flying cars we've been talking about for a while, right? The virtual services, more and more POCs happening. We'll tend to see more flying cars over the big cities as well, solving some of those first adopters need, invisible sensors coming into our need, and the interactions across our different business functions. And lastly, I think the discourse of the public AI policy debates is going to be in the next level. Today we talk about AI security, AI adoptions, AI scale, governance, but I think the next few years we'll tend to see this will move into more national level discourse, security discussion, looking at from this maturity of the industry standards moving into more broader on the national security discussion in terms of what's the crucial and the impact of those different entities of the version of the AI systems coming into our world and their impact to the humanity. So as a security leader, you can play a critical role as you've been doing across infrastructure, across multiple system protections, softwares, and one key area what I've seen working very well is in the context of the current evolution is the contribution that's coming out of the research and collaborations, either publishing these frameworks that could help us to adopt in industry and insights and academic findings that supports in the building process. It could be building the scalable and reliable and secure platforms or products that we can serve to the humanity or the business need, and taking that kind of the initiation and collaboration for security standards and the guardrails working groups, as CSA has been doing phenomenal job in shaping that structures well and delivering those kind of the outcome and the papers and then the reports. So that could still be one of the areas can be valuable. Looking at the collaboration piece, right? The business arena and the tech functions that will help us in the implementation of the governance for physical AI across physical AI product planning, design, development, testing, and deployment phase. Imagine that physical AI product before that gets in the production deployment or released to the business use. How can we introduce physical AI security or governance as in build function or workflow across these phases could help us to mitigate a lot of the challenge and the security issues that those products tend to bring in the future. And then lastly, I think the training workforce empowerment are going to be also the biggest need in terms of taking the current workforce into uh, the these kind of the technology that's popping up and evolving over the time, and how we can train, retrain, create a new workforce in the security arena to help us to become more compliance structure in terms of training those workforce to help and support in elevating and then in support of those kind of the new technology and the products that's coming into the to us. Red teaming is going to continue to be another functions within the security workforce that will help us to test and validate those AI, physical AI products that's coming into our world, right? Doing all kinds of tests within the lab construct to the during the development or before it gets into the production release, or even from the manufacturing perspective before this get into the actual productionization of those products. And then there is incident response team, primarily for the from the attack standpoint to incident response perspective, how we can train, right? The human workforce that could be leverage, that can be combination of human workforce, security workforce, that can support us along with the use of the technology to proactively and reactively supporting those physical AI threat needs. That's, I think, the where I could think of as a call to action for security leaders in aligning to this physical AI that is coming on our way, and that's the result of the next few years from now. We're already seeing that happening now. Now there is a need of this collaborative set of this secure workforce that is going to help us in the adoption of this kind of the deployment of the physical AI products that's coming to our various market segmentation and businesses. And this is where I think the crucial challenge and opportunity are on our way. So with that, I would like to wrap up today's conversation. And thank you, each one of you, for listening and watching me on this topic. Thank you.